Welcome everyone. Firstly, a bit of a preface to this presentation. This is not a real human video recording. I am in fact an AI avatar representation of Josh Sexton, the digital director of Sprocket Digital. This cutting-edge technology is incredibly impressive, but as you can probably tell, my voice has a bit of an Australian-American twang to it. Little old New Zealand voice models still need a bit of work. Anyway, in this webinar, I'm going to share with you Sprocket Digital's top optimization tips for improving Google ad account performance, so you are able to generate the best possible return for your marketing budget. Let's get started. In order to find and present the most valuable tips for this presentation, I have worked my way through Sprocket's 500-point optimization checklist and cherry-picked some valuable tips that are easy to implement and provide noticeable improvements in campaign performance for both lead gen and e-commerce businesses. First up, brand exclusions. This is where the name of your business is excluded from all non-brand campaigns, so that there is a clear divide between new customer acquisition versus existing customers and users who are already aware of your business. If brand activity isn't excluded from acquisition campaigns, it can have a huge impact on performance results and often lead to the misconception that currently active campaigns are providing profitable performance, whether with lead generation or e-commerce businesses. The only way to objectively measure acquisition campaign performance from a true ROI standpoint is to move all brand traffic to a specific branding campaign with a clearly defined daily budget. Usually this daily budget is very small, not because brand doesn't generate much traffic, but because it is so cost-effective to run. Google is an auction-based system that rewards relevance, and as a result, the effective cost per click on brand terms is typically measured in cents rather than dollars. Aside from being cost-effective, bidding on brand is an important part of any digital marketing strategy, as it protects your brand against competitors and improves the trustworthiness of your business online. Google Ads tip number 2, search terms. Search terms are distinctly different and arguably more important than keywords, as they show us the exact searches that users are making before our ads are served. Keywords, on the other hand, are rough targets for keyword themes, where often one keyword can lead to thousands of different search terms, especially if the match type is set to broad, but we'll leave that conversation for another day. The great thing about Google's search term report is that it allows us to check that your ads are only serving on related searches to your product or service, and if they aren't, you can easily identify irrelevant searches and add them as negative keywords to your campaigns, which will block them from ever serving again in the future. Tip number 3 is product feed optimization, an area that is often neglected by advertisers and has the potential to yield the biggest return on ad spend improvements of any tips in this slide deck. Ignoring feed optimization puts your campaigns at a disadvantage against the competition. Once again, relevance is key here, and product titles, categories, and imagery should clearly define the products that are being advertised. Focus on key defining attributes of each product. For example, brand, followed by model, product category, gender, color, and size. Here are some examples of recommended attribute structures for common product categories, as well as examples of how these would look for some recognizable products. Tip number 4 is related to Google Analytics and is critical for maintaining data accuracy for all traffic sources. We often come across the same scenario in new client accounts, where the default referral tracking behavior in GA4 leads to inaccurate session and conversion data. A primary example of this occurs when the purchase path via a paid campaign includes navigation to an external payment gateway before redirecting to a thank you page on the website. When this traffic is directed off-site, all of the initial source data is lost, and the traffic is misattributed to the payment gateway instead of the paid campaign. This is a problem when assessing data, as Google Analytics will claim that the source of your revenue is from PayPal, for example, rather than the true source, such as Google Ads, organic, or referral. Referral exclusion helps address this issue by allowing you to define exclusion rules and ensure accurate attribution of conversions to traffic sources that are actually driving new and repeat business to your store. Tip number 5 involves the age-old challenge of attributing conversion value to different steps in a user's path to purchase. Data-driven attribution is the recommended model of choice for application across both e-commerce and lead generation accounts, as it learns from historical pathway data to find the most appropriate attribution model for fair revenue allocation to your website traffic sources. It uses advanced statistical algorithms to analyze data from all the touch points along a customer's journey to give credit to the channels that had the greatest impact on the conversion. Tip number 6, remarketing audiences. Time and time again, we see accounts where the membership duration is set to the default 30 days. We recommend putting a bit more thought into this, as it is important to choose a duration that is closely related to the length of time you expect your ad to be relevant to the user, up to a 540-day maximum. We also recommend creating remarketing audience segments in a few different ways. From pages visited and products purchased through to customer journey stages and first-party data like email lists. Generally, delving deeper into audience segmentation will provide better results. And it is worth testing different segmentation strategies over time to find which combinations are best suited for your business. Here are some recommended additional remarketing segments that can benefit from specific creative addressing different stages in a user's path to purchase. Not all of these will be applicable for your business, but they should get you think about what traffic segments may be most valuable to you. Tip number 7, applying the correct geographic location targeting settings to avoid irrelevant traffic. A common mistake in Google Ads geotargeting involves misconfiguring location options. Advertisers might inadvertently target people interested in a location rather than those physically present there. Google is partly to blame here, as the default geolocation setting for Google Ads is presence or interest, people in, regularly in, or who've shown interest in your targeted location. This often results in wasted ad spend from users outside of the target area and often even outside the target country. More often than not, the most appropriate setting is actually presence, people, regularly in your targeted locations. It is easy enough to take a look at your location report for each campaign to assess the impact this may be having, and it's even easier to check the setting and adjust if necessary. Tip number 8 is related to dynamic campaign targeting, both positive and negative. Firstly, we need to answer the question, what is a dynamic search campaign? Dynamic search is a type of Google Ads campaign that automatically generates ad headlines and landing pages based on the content of a website. Targeting isn't keyword-based in this campaign type. Instead, it uses either URL or keyword themes that Google suggests based on the content of your website. The problem with this is that many advertisers often set the URL target to all pages without setting any controls on which pages are crawled. At Sprocket, we suggest setting up separate ad groups for each product or service category on the website, as well as a single catch-all all pages ad group for the home page and contact page. When doing this, all of the positive search terms from standard search should be applied to dynamic as negatives so that there is no cross-competition between campaigns, and any low-value pages should be excluded as negative URLs. Common examples of this are blog pages, returns and refund pages, and gallery pages. When looking at the search terms in dynamic search, it is important to look for not only negative keywords and URLs, but also for positive keywords to add into your standard search campaigns and exclude from dynamic. This way, dynamic is used effectively as a research tool for mining and uncovering potential high-value keywords that may have been missed from our manually targeted standard search campaigns. That's the last of our optimization tips for today. Thanks for your time. I hope you have found some of these optimizations useful and plan on implementing them in the near future. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us for some help or guidance. Again, I'd like to reiterate that this video only covers a few cherry-picked tips for optimization. If you see value in applying Sprocket's full 500-point checklist, we'd love to catch up with you in person and have a chat about how we can work together.